Good morning. Welcome to a brand new episode of the Heaven and Elle podcast. As always, I am your host, Elle Edwards, founder of the Itchy Soul Playground and New Year, and I'm super excited that you are here with me today. We are, from a logistics point of view, slightly earlier than normal because we've got lots of things to do today and I just needed a little bit of extra time. And so we are a little bit earlier, which I should have, housekeeping announcement. If you enjoy the podcast, wherever you listen to it, and you want to be part of the live studio audience, the studio in the loosest of terms, you can join us every weekday morning at 9 a.m. UK time on the Heaven and Elle, on the UEA Facebook page, facebook.com/Ms. L. Edwards. So with my housekeeping announcement over with, let's get on with today's episode. Now, in today's episode, I hope that by the end of today's episode, if you've ever had any thought that God only speaks to people, or you, or whoever, through very strict parameters, I'm hoping that the story in today's episode will blow that out of the water, because today's episode is inspired by my hair, of all things. How is that possible? I'll tell you the story. So, some of you who've known me a little while will know that when we had our first lockdown here in the UK, I cut my own hair. Members of the playground, you will actually get tangible proof of this in the UEA Dreams course. I recorded it during the first lockdown and you will see my hair in various stages of cutness. Thankfully, you only saw it from the front. From the back, it was like a mullet. It was a disaster. However, when we went into our second lockdown, I was determined, right, I'm not going to cut my hair. And so I didn't, and I stuck to that. And then the hairdresser came when she was allowed to and chopped it and whatever. But for the last week or so, the way I'd been drying it was just niggling me slightly and was getting on my nerves because had been growing and it was just like, argh. And then this morning I brushed it slightly different and dried it slightly different. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that works. Now, I'll be quite candid, okay? To anybody other than me, it probably doesn't look any different at all. You could look at a video from yesterday versus a video from today and you'd be like, yeah, it's fine, it's just hair. But to me, I was like, okay, yeah, that's gone a bit better today. But God kept highlighting that. I'm like, what are you trying to tell me through the way I've dried my hair? And the reminder was this: sometimes when you're in the process of growing and developing, whatever that looks like within the context of your life, it will sometimes feel a bit niggly, particularly if you try to keep on doing things the way they've always been. So like I was drying my hair the way I've been drying my hair for weeks after my haircut, and it just wasn't like quite going right. And so I was like, so then I tried something different. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that works. And like I say, to the outside world, it might not look any different because we're really good at putting on a brave face or putting, best foot forward if you're very British. This is one of my bugbears with social media. I love social media. We get to do things like this. I've met friends all over the world, including South Africa, waving to Celia in our live audience. There are wonderful, beautiful, delightful things about social media. But at the same time, one of my frustrations is that even when people tell you that they're being authentic and they're being real, they're still showing you what they want to show you. So we can very easily fall into this idea that everybody else has got their life so together, because only you really know the mess that's going on inside your own head. But just remember, even that, okay, so the example I give is some people will say, I'm going to be transparent. I'm going to show you all my mess. But even that mess is a filtered mess. So this is an aside, just somebody needs to hear this. Don't fall into the trap of comparing everybody else, what they present to the world, to the stuff that's going on inside your head. It's not a fair fight. I just want to put that out there. However, the thing that, and the real purpose of this episode, the thing that God was niggling me around was just a reminder, really, that if in your life you're experiencing some like discomfort, some niggles, some like, I would encourage you to dig into that and ask God, what's going on? Like I did with the whole haircut thing. I said to him, well, are you trying to tell me something through the way I've dried my hair? What's that about? Because he loves you. And that's the real love story part of this. The Heaven and Elle stories, they're all about love. And you, on face value, you might go, well, where's the love in the haircut? But no, the love in it is this. He loves you so much, he will not leave you feeling stuck and frustrated. Yes, we all go through periods of stuckness and frustration, but even that frustration, those niggles are a chance to dig deeper into your relationship with God and go, okay, well, what are you trying to tell me? What does this look like? How do I move forward from here? And sometimes it's a really simple tweak, like just drying your hair differently, using that as a metaphor, of course. Sometimes it will require, a bit deeper work. Sometimes it will require you to talk to a friend, to explore stuff. Quite candidly, it's not always easy. It's not always comfortable. Doing the real inner work and working through that stuff, playing through that stuff, I like to call it, because let's keep this energetic and sort of light and fun. Because, the way that you approach this as well, as an aside, if you approach this from the, okay, this is going to be really difficult and I'm going to clench my teeth and really grit in and do it until it gets sorted, versus, okay, this is a bit challenging and it's not the easiest, but let's explore this and see where this goes. You will be going through the same process with both of those approaches, but they will feel vastly different. And so this is like the episode with a thing and like tangent things, but the tangent reminder is for you to pay attention to the way that you're approaching stuff. I fully maintain that life is meant to be delightful and joyful and brilliant and wonderful. And yes, there are challenges in life. Things will come up and they will be frustrating and you need to deal with those things. But angst, frustration, heartache does not need to be your default position. And yes, I know it's easy for me to say from the other side of a camera lens or the other side of the mic, to stand here and say to you, it's just how you approach it. You've got to change the story in your head. But it's true. Do not underestimate the power of your amazing mind. And you, as somebody of faith, somebody who is friends with Jesus, you have the added benefit of you get to do this with Holy Spirit. You've got God living inside you, which totally blows my mind. But you don't have to do this on your own. He wants to be in relationship with you, talking to you about this stuff throughout the day, through all of the most random of things. These stories that we share on the podcast really are examples of that. Yesterday, for those of you who are here, we did bunny rabbits. It was a story and a niggle and a reminder through my daughter's rabbits. I mean, what's that about? Quite candidly, when I was a teenager growing up in church where it was all very serious, if you'd have told me that God wanted to talk to us through stories and through day-to-day happenings and all of the things, I would not have believed you, because that was not my experience growing up. But it's time for us to take a fresh look at everything that God is doing and actually open our eyes and ask God to open all of our senses to the things that he is doing. Because I've shared this before, but I really do believe that God is inviting us into a new, deeper relationship with him, one that's based on love, based on the fact that you are his son or his daughter, and he wants to know everything about you. Now, yes, he's God, he knows everything about you, but he wants you to bring everything to him. And so if today you are feeling niggled by stuff, if you know that you're going through a period of growth or stretching, I want to invite you to approach that slightly differently and ask God, okay, what do I need to do with this? What does that look like? Do I need to do something differently? And then pause and see what comes up. And again, we say see, we say hear. That reminder, how you do your relationship with God, how he communicates with you, will be different. It's not just going to be that big booming voice. Incidentally, nobody yet has come back to me and said, I hear God with a big booming voice. So the challenge is still out there. If anybody does or ever has heard God with a big booming voice, tell me. But most of the time, it's that inner whisper. Sometimes for people, it's just a sense, a niggle, a knowing. But it starts with you realizing or being open to the possibility that God really does want to talk to you. And like I say, for me, as a teenager growing up in the church, this was not something that I heard. It was not something that was taught or encouraged. I really just thought that people that heard from God were like prophets and like really holy people. But God is talking to you all of the time. Even people who don't yet let God love them, he's still speaking to them. They haven't got that close relationship that you and I have. But otherwise, if God only spoke to people who'd prayed the prayer, how would anybody pray the prayer? But seriously, if God only spoke to the people who let him love them, nobody would ever do that, because the only way you can let God love you is if you hear from him and you get invited into that relationship. And so this idea that only specific people hear from God is nonsense. I'm just going to say that. Absolute nonsense. He wants to do life with you. He loves you. It'd be like me with my 3 youngsters saying, okay, I'm only going to speak to you on certain days of the week, or only going to speak to you if you come and approach me in a certain way. No, I love it when they come to me with all of the things and we talk about anything and everything. And I'm an imperfect human parent. I have good days and good moments, and yes, God helping me, but I get it wrong a lot of the time. God is the ultimate parent and he loves you. So your plaything for today, your mission, if you choose to accept it, is to pay attention to those areas that are niggling you and ask God to help you. And as always, thank you for being here. I shall see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.